Hello and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and those famous two ex-dancers, champions, by the way, are Mike and Paul. Let's show a little video of them dancing.
Love on the back seat of a car. I remember one time I made love on the back seat of a car.
Well, actually, that's not Mike and Paul. I know that I didn't fool anybody, but I found that video. Those men sort of dance just like Mike and Paul dance when they're in a bar together and they've had too much to drink.
No, that's the Carolina coast. That's the
Yeah.
shag.
I was gonna
That's,
say
that's the
right,
famous
right
shag.
down, right down the road, right here.
All right, we are your hosts. Old People This Week is a podcast for boomers. So if you're not a boomer, welcome because you'll learn something. We give you the stories, the dirt, and the raw info you'll need to sound smart this weekend when you're hanging out at the pickleball courts, the golf course, or if you're Mike, at the parking lot of our local mall selling CDs out of his trunk of his
my
car.
Absolutely. Big weekend, by the way.
Yes. Whiz Bang has got to make his money.
My retro tour is coming up.
Yeah. And speaking of retro tour and whiz bang, we got a video emerged out of somewhere. I don't even know. Somebody sent it to me of your former rap partner, Mike, is Young Jizzy. He went by. So let's watch a little bit of Young Jizzy rapping here.
With a sentence went down, came back with a vengeance, and now I'm bringing that smoke in a silk cut suit while I'm puffing on the Benson wood pound. It's happening, ladies. Eyes on the prize while I hold the door. And if I don't pay the paper, leave a scar on his face like Voldemort.
It's a fake. It's all dubbed.
So Mike, is that Young Jizzy?
It's all dubbed. He'll know he died 3 years ago.
I
The
thought
lyrics
that
are
was
dubbed. It's faked. Yeah, it's fake.
I thought that was a phony. They're young. Somebody tricked me. Young Jizzy was a great partner to you in the 80s. He's made a lot of money. All right, the comments for today, because our viewership has just gone through the roof the last couple of days, up to
Wow. Good.
closing in on that 500 mark.
There we go.
Oh, incredible. I remember, Mike, I don't think Paul was on this program at Christmas time 3 weeks ago, but I was complaining about the utterly unoriginal Christmas gifts
Yeah.
that I'd get, like the books on the Civil War. Well, somebody saw that and commented, oh yeah, I did that to my dad. This is from a viewer by the name of Kippy's mom. Oh yeah, I did that to my dad. I bought him numerous books on the Civil War after I heard him talk about a book he was reading about it years ago. I didn't think to ask him if he was really interested in reading every book ever written about that war. It's too late now, but sorry, Daddy. Oh, man. That's sad. What else? Last week we showed that really super dumb GenX video called PBJ the Long Way.
Yeah.
I'm going to show a little bit of it while we're talking about it. And we bitched about it because it's ultimately the ultimate expression of what's going on in your basic Gen X mind. But this woman by the name of Lisa Coffey, Coffeey, Coffey, she wrote, my reaction to the PBJ video was, quote, get them off the couch.
Exactly.
I know,
Lisa.
Lisa.
Get them
I
out
know,
of their
Lisa.
parents' basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the ultimate dumb one. All right, let's get to the rants. So somebody texted me and said that we, meaning the three of us, should talk about politics. And I said, no, period. You can get your head full of that crap over on Fox or over on CNN or over on MSNBC. You don't need us to talk about it. Also, that someone said that we should stop goofing around and talk about things like what credit card is good for seniors and talk about health issues. And I said, no, we're not AARP. AARP will give you all that crap and more crap if you want it. I like Mike. If you remember, Mike, we used to say when we started this podcast a little over a year ago, if you belong to the I've fallen down and can't get up school of aging, then you're watching the wrong
The wrong
podcast.
Yeah.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
All right, rant part two. This rant needs no setup. I'm just going to read from this article from Fortune magazine because this says it all. I don't even need to say anything. After complaining for the better part of 2 years that GenX grads are difficult to work with, bosses are no longer all talk, no action. Now they're rapidly firing young workers who aren't up to scratch just months after hiring them.
Yeah.
According to this report, 6 in 10 employers say that they have already sacked some of the Gen Z workers they hired fresh out of college in recent months. So 60% of employers have already fired Gen X employees that they just hired in the last few months. Why? Because employers gripe that the young people today have a lack of a motivation and initiative.
Gee, I wonder why. When you stare at a tablet for 26 hours a day, you can't complete a sentence. You can't make a conversation. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were the greatest generation, and we invented everything, including the internet. We handed it to the people after us, and they have completely destroyed their own lives with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're the guy that invented the hammer, you didn't give it to somebody and say, go beat yourself over the head with it. We give you the internet. Now do good things with it, you idiots.
Yeah,
They're
build
just
houses.
lazy. And they don't have any brains. I don't even know what to say about it. Other than that article says it all. So what I'm saying is it's not us week by week ranting about this. It's now Fortune magazine's getting it.
Right.
All right. So now we're going to get to the gist of the show, which is the fashion sartorial styles of Mike, Paul, and I. And first we're going to go and talk about Paul because there's nothing to talk about because, Paul, you've sent us something that we can't even ridicule. I'm showing the picture right now.
No.
Because you don't even wear snow clothes ever, so it's hard to say I can't make fun of you when you're wearing clothes
why-
that you never wear ever.
I was going to say, I've never had snow clothes from living 40 years in Southern California to living in South Carolina and a freak snowstorm comes along. No, I mean, it's the same Eddie Bauer sweater I had 40 years ago when I was 20. I mean, that was,
You cheated on this assignment. I'm going to get in touch with your significant other and have her send some real pictures of you that we can goof on.
okay.
So forget about that picture. This
Okay.
next picture, though, is we had Mike send us a picture of the, oh, God's sakes, these things with Crocs. Who wears Crocs? Go ahead, show them, Mike. You hiding them
Right
down
here.
there.
Now, this is why Allison is attracted to me, because of my exceptional taste.
What are those things on it?
Those are called gibbets. Those
Yeah,
of us
but-
in the Croc universe know that they're gibbets.
Yeah,
Mine,
gibbet.
mine are minions. That's Doe and Jimmy.
Do you go to those Minion movies?
I love the Minion movies.
Oh, boy.
My favorite is the guy with one eye in his forehead. He's perfect.
That's what the other thing that's on your Croc there. The third little thing
the
was
eye.
just something with the eye.
That's the eye.
Oh man, at least you have good sense to wear Japanese pants like I'd have, because you. But by the way, you committed the ultimate Jeff Shore faux pas. You didn't wear socks,
don't wear
barefooted in
socks.
Crocs.
No.
Oh,
Crocs and
barefoot.
Crocs?
No.
you have to wear
maybe-
socks. Have the decency to wear socks with them. All right, now I'm going to show you guys what real masculine fashion looks like when you're over 70 years old here. This is a picture of me in my Japanese pants taken by my wife. And as you can see, first of all, you can see how tall I am and the stature, how I fill up a screen. I look good.
That is
And then,
pathetic.
and then the pants that fall comfortably to just above the ankle. And then there's room there to show off my delicate and beautiful ankles, and then some my shoes. So that is what you're supposed to look like. All right, that means we're putting out the challenge there to all of the hundreds of people that subscribe to this podcast. Send us pictures of your sartorial style. Don't send any dirty, filthy ones because I won't air them. But anything else, I will put on. And then Mike and I will comment on them. Not Paul, because Paul hasn't proven yet he knows how to dress. He has to send us a real
Well,
picture.
in the Minion theme, I'll send you my my version of Gru at the Halloween time. I'll send you that. That's a fashion statement. Gru for Mike, basically, and his minions.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of fashion, This is a big deal to us and a big victory for all of us who have to fly on airplanes with people who have absolutely no decorum and know how to act or dress on an airplane. And it
Which is
came,
most people.
yeah, which is most people. And it came from all places, from Spirit Airlines, which Spirit Airlines is basically like the Orville and Wilbur Wright of airlines, where you're flying around and where you go in the after you walk into the cabin, you're not sitting in seats, you're sitting around, picnic tables and with seat belts, and you fly somewhere. There's no food on the flight, there's no entertainment unless there's a fight or something in there. But they, of all people, Spirit came up with this, instituted a new rule that we completely agree with, which customers can be taken off a flight if they are, quote, barefoot or inadequately clothed, i.e. with see-through clothing, exposed breasts. That goes for you too,
Well, I wouldn't go
Mike.
that far now. I mean, come on.
Exposed buttocks or any other private parts. See, Paul, no ass cracks, which is what you asked for.
Please.
And plus, they can throw you off if any clothing or article of clothing, including body art, is lewd, obscene, or offensive in nature.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Bravo.
Bravo.
That puts that staff in a real tough spot. Who decides what?
95% of all pilots are just old white men. And they're going to be the guys who are going to just come up and go, you know what? I'm not going to let my daughter wear that. I'm not going to let you, and they'll get into it. They really will. And they'll make the ultimate decision because they're one who says, I'm the captain of the ship.
Yeah, get those old white crazy dudes out there and clean house in that Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Spirit's in a bankruptcy, so let's hope they find some passengers before they kick them all off.
So tomorrow they'll re-allow anybody on there. You can walk on naked on there.
I want to be assigned to fly with the University of Texas cheerleading squad. I would make sure that all decorum was observed.
Actually, Mike, I think you would have been more in line when Hooters had an airline, wouldn't you?
God, Hooters. God bless Hooters.
All right, you guys, this is the instructional part for us world travelers. 10 things never to do in a hotel room. You ready?
Number 10. No, number 1.
Number 1, never use the bed sheet. Just
Never.
throw it off when you get in there because it's full of disease. Number 2, avoid touching the remote control. And you touch it, either your hands will stick to it or it's got all kinds of, who knows what's on it, DNA. Never leave valuables unsecured. So don't just, throw them if they have a safe. If they don't have a safe, bring them with you. Don't forget to use the door lock.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don't assume that the glasses are clean.
Good idea.
Nothing in the room is.
Unless it's pure alcohol going into the glass, then it's fine.
And that's, in your case, and you're good. Avoid walking barefoot. The rug could have dust, germs, food leftovers, and all kind of bodily fluids on it.
All the above.
I'm not worried about the dust, but yes.
Don't use the coffee maker without cleaning it first.
Who's going to do that?
Avoid using the mini bar. The reason was, by the way, because I read that why avoid using the mini bars because they said they just overpriced, booze, and so don't use it.
Absolutely.
$15 for a mini drink.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't want to go out, you're in the middle of nowhere, and you don't want to leave the room, then whatever port in a storm, use the mini bar.
Right.
Be wary of unsecured Wi-Fi networks. That's probably smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget to tip. Now, this one got me because I thought if all these things are true above, that they're not cleaning anything and that there's bed bugs and everything else going on, why would you want
reward
to tip them?
someone?
Yeah, why are you tipping them?
Yeah, great job. I slept standing up, leaning against the wall in my shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so just to put this in a personalize this, when I was in, just out of college, just at the end of my college career, I worked at a Holiday Inn in Bowling Green, Ohio, if you can imagine. And I worked in what was called their restaurant, although by any standards, modern standards, it was not a restaurant at all. And on occasion, if some of the maids hadn't shown up, they would come and they would Shanghai me and whoever and say, "You got to go help clean the rooms." So I have seen what a used room looks like, at least in backwoods Ohio. That was, the only people staying there were either, sex workers or used cars, used salespeople that were traveling across the state to go somewhere. And I'm telling you, you would find dirty magazines, tons of booze, blood-soaked towels, barf,
Stop.
tampons, everything.
But I do have a story like yours, Jeff, where I was 16 and I went to go work one night at the Thunderbird Hotel in the dining room, and the waiter was like training me, right? He's like, "Okay, follow me." And the most disgusting thing that's still etched in my brain to this day is he cleared the table off. We walked back to the kitchen. He turned the corner and he ate the leftover food off the guest plate that was on the tray. And I went, "I'm out of here." That was the end of that.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. You have to be awful hungry or awful white trash to do that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Now, usually our Florida stories are at the end of the podcast, but this one is so ridiculous that it got moved up into prime time here.
It's too good. It's too good.
Yeah, it is too good. So Elizabeth Hill Brodigan, who's a principal, not a teacher, not a teacher's aide, not some, she's the principal of a elementary school in Cocoa Beach, white trash, Florida.
She the boss.
She's the boss. And she hosted a party at her house for around 100 teenagers as young as 13 years old in mid-January. Now,
Why wasn't she a teacher when I was in school?
yeah, well, this wasn't not some, "Hey, come over to the house and we're going to do math together." This was a full-on, what did they say about her?
We're going to drink.
Yeah, they had alcohol in coolers all over the house that kids could just sit there and go and get and drink. And when somebody finally called the cops and they showed up, there was a drunk 13-year-old like laying in the hallway when they got in there. But they also found an intoxicated third grade teacher when they went looking around the house. Yeah. Now, by the way, where I went to school, which was a Catholic elementary school in backwoods Ohio, and the principal's name was Sister Mary Benedicta, the meanest looking. She looked like Janet Reno with a habit on, and she would, if you did anything wrong, the go-to punishment was she had this ruler, like with a sharp edge on it, by the way, and she'd go, "Hold out your hand," and the next thing you know, your palm is getting pummeled by this ruler.
Yeah, Miss Murphy used to do that in our little grade school, and it had a metal edge on it. She didn't give a shit. If the metal hit you, that's too damn bad. You go home at night and you're bleeding out your hand.
Hands bleeding. Mom, my hand's bleeding.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Well, that's the other thing about those days. But if I had gone home nowadays, if you go home and said, "Mom, the teacher hit me," then the parent would run down there and file a lawsuit against the teacher.
Yeah.
Well, in my day, my mom went, "Good for you.
Yeah.
You deserved it."
No, my mom would slap me again and say, "Don't do that anymore." Except for the abuse I take from you, I came out fine. Getting spanked didn't affect anything.
Yeah, but it looked like he hit you in the head a couple times, though, by accident.
No. That's why Allison thinks I'm quite handsome.
Oh, for crying out loud. Cue ball. And by the way, you were BSing last week when Paul asked you, he goes, "What number of thing do you use?" And you were just winging it because you go 4 and a 5. The shorter you go is the lower the number. If you have a 4 or 5, you'd have an afro.
No.
You made that up. You absolutely made that
Come
up.
over to my house. I'll show you the kit.
That's
I'll
got to be
teach
a
you.
1 or a 2.
It's a 1 or a 2. That's how it works. It's 1 is super short, and then 5 is.
Mine's
Come
greater than a
over.
5 right now, and it's not even cut.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do it and save you $50 a week.
Just go look at that thing when you go home tonight. Go back to your room when you
Next
crawl
time,
out of this thing.
next show.
Bring
I'll
it.
hold it up. I'll hold it up.
It won't say 4 or 5 though. It's going to say 1 or 2.
I thought you were going to say we're going to do it live on air, Mike. I
We're
thought we
gonna
were
do
going
it
to be like,
No, Paul, I told him. I would do his hair on camera live, and he would be a changed man.
Touching this what do you call like a lion's mane here.
you and I are the same, Jeff. We have that thing that goes like a center cut right down the middle. It's like, okay.
I told you it's my boomer mohawk. I say that's my guy.
It's a mohawk. When I get up in the morning, it's just like,
It is. It's a mohawk. Well, especially in the morning. I know it. It's like a knife. You could cut things with
Yeah.
it. So, you guys aren't parents because you're infertile, probably. But 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 if you had been a parent, you would have had kids,
What a
and
horrible
then
thing to say.
you would have been invited to kids' parties, and there is nothing. And then you would always check the invite to see where the party was. If it was at somebody's house, okay, kind of, depending on the house, okay. If it was at a bowling alley, okay, or whatever, or at an amusement park, great.
Yeah.
But if it was at one of these gyms, it was like they used to have a place called My Gym in LA. They do it, or there's another place called Bright Child that we called Sick Child because they had one of those things there where you could go on a slide and the kids would fall into a thing with those like round balls things.
Yeah.
And we call it Sick Child because no matter if your kid went in there once, they came out the next day, they had all kind of illnesses. They were sniffly and sick and stuff. But the worst place you could go to get invited to, and you had to figure out if you were going to go or try to get out of it somehow, was Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Chuck E. Cheese was like, imagine 1,000 kids running around screaming, and then these automatonic characters that is Chuck E. Cheese and his cohorts playing music.
there's one of those in every store?
Yeah, in every store. Well, in every store I was ever in. And there
Oh my
was
God,
a bunch of them in LA. With that, I read this story, and I'm going to show a bit of video about it, about this young couple. Their names are, what was it? Leonie Troutman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leonie Troutman Simeon and Quilly Simeon got married at Chuck E. Cheese in Everett, Massachusetts on January 11th. And I thought they have to be out of their stupid minds. That is the most low rent way to get married. And plus they did it at 8 in the morning so they could get it over with before the thing opened. So 8 to 10 in the morning, go in there, Chuck E. Cheese, and get married. But you know what? Watching the video, and I'm going to show it now,
They're having a ball.
they're having a ball. And what
it's
can you do?
cool.
You can't goof on them. What the hell? They saved money and they had a nice wedding. So here's a little bit of the video. So that's it. I mean, they look like they're having fun. Their friends are having fun. She's in that money pit, that money thing, trying to chase around some money, and and it looked a little cleaner than the ones I was in. Those Chuck E. Cheeses that were terrible. Anyways,
Yeah.
Mike, where'd you get married at? Oh, that's right. I have actually. I actually have a picture of your wedding
A
cake.
picture of the cake.
You
No, we
cutting
got
that?
married at in Sonoma at the last of the Mission Inns built up the coast.
No,
It was fabulous.
well, that's not Chuck E. Cheese, that for sure.
No, it was a little more elevated.
Yeah.
Up to a Sambo's level, probably. Yeah.
They were still building the
Yeah,
place, missionary.
They were still fighting off the Indians while they were trying to finish it. But I remember
right.
that really well because it was a rainy weekend and I was driving a Morgan +4 Super Sport at the time. And it was going to be the greatest getaway. Jump in the Morgan, wheel over to the Sonoma Resort, hang out for the weekend. And we walked out of the church and it was just downpour. Just absolutely raining like a bat out of hell. Car was full of water.
That's actually a sign of good luck, though, and it's proven it because you've been married for what, 88 years now?
Yeah, Mary took one look at me and said, "You'll never live this down."
All right, now it's time to switch to our favorite part of the show when we get to goof on Gen Z and Gen X and millennial videos, mostly Gen Z and Gen X. This first one here I called Hair Volcano, and it speaks for itself. You ready?
Please,
All right, here we go.
no.
All right, when do you guys tell me what the hell, what is that about?
There's no explanation. I mean, what
No.
possibly?
Other than what's going to come out of the volcano. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, but do you imagine how long it took to take and make a cone out of that dude's hair, and so that it had a hollow part in the middle of it, so that you could drop those whatever that is, those Aptos or whatever it is, into there, and drop Coca-Cola on top of that so it would blow up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the Mentos and Coke thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
My point has been every week is that they spent time planning this, meticulously planning this, and then getting ready to do it, and then shaping the dude's hair for a few minutes, and so would run on TikTok and taking a chance that nobody ever sees it.
Crazy. I was going to try that actually, but we couldn't find a.
They'd have to
suitable
hollow out a
location.
hole in your head to do it. You don't have the hair for it. Me and Paul, we could do that. See, there's
my
room in here, right in here.
That a volcano come out of somewhere else. What are you talking about?
Now, the second video is a guy who decides that he listened to a pal of his who said that there's a good way to store eggs in your refrigerator. Let's watch that. So what'd you think, Mike? You gonna go home tonight? Are you gonna go back out to the kitchen tonight and put some duct tape on your eggs?
You know, it's just I'm beyond words.
Why? Just why?
Is this kid ever going to get a job at Boeing?
No, this is the kind of kid we were talking about at the beginning of this show. They go take a job, they get fired 3 weeks later.
And
Yeah.
he thinks that is an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah.
To tape his eggs to this roof of his refrigerator.
And this last one that I'm gonna have to cut down for a while to get it on here because nobody wants to sit through this whole thing. It's self-explanatory at the end of it what she did to herself. So let's watch.
I was just a little girl. Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. When I grew up, will we have rainbows? Da, whatever will be, will be.
All right, she spent all that time, all her creative juices to look like a Hidden Valley dressing box.
Oh dear.
Ready for let's make a deal, I guess. I don't know.
Actually, that's a good point. That's where she could just kept that on and wear it down to the studio, and she'd fit
Yeah.
right in.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's move on then. This week's conspiracy theory, because this is a Jim Dandy one, and I'm really upset about all this.
I was going to say, this has really been bugging you. I can tell.
Back in November,
That's why I keep sending him the updates. I want him to know how close
Actually,
we are.
it was even an update to me when he reads it, because I was at last count, like about a week ago, they read on the news, like, hey, we got one more, we have 3 left.
so last November, 43 rhesus monkeys escaped from a so-called research facility in rural Beaufort County, South Carolina. And this is right next to Paul's house there. There's monkeys all over the place. At first, there were some news stories about the breakout. Then everyone at the facility went radio silent. You know, the head of the facility wasn't talking anymore. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody understands it. And the story is that they hadn't gone very far. The 43 monkeys were out in the trees right around the facility, and that they were going to figure out a way to lure them back in. And then they announced yesterday that all 43 had been captured in good health. But here's my thing. I don't believe a single word of that story. Where were those monkeys at since November? What were they up to? And I believe this is the beginning of the Planet of the Apes. Was foretold in all those movies. Here's my clues. And they were saying it. At first they announced that the monkeys didn't go anywhere. And then they said, And then they released this. They said residents are strongly advised to keep doors and windows secured to prevent animals from entering homes. So first of all, that means they weren't just outside in the trees right around the facility. They were all over the community.
Yeah.
And then what did you have to be afraid of? Well, I'll tell you what you have to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And so
Please.
they were described as having close cropped hair on their heads. Who does that remind you of on this podcast, by the way? And
I could be your next ruler. Be very careful. My 43.
and very-
my-
oh my God, and very expressive faces like Mike too. They look like every other Gen Z or Gen X kid, by the way. That means that they're sneaking around looking like humans into your house, stealing your guns, getting ready to prepare for the takeover. And I'm telling you, if you had gone around and found all 43 and interrogated them, one of them's name was what was the name of the one of them that I said was the leader of them?
Well, they'd be
can't remember
speaking
the-
English. They'd be speaking English, which should really worry you.
Yeah, and one of them is going to start talking back to you and start yelling at you, and you'll know that they all know how to speak English, and they all know, but they keep their mouths shut. And now they're ready to take over.
Well, the good news, Jeff, is it was only 90 some days, and the gestation period for a rhesus monkey is 168 days. I looked that up. So you don't have anything to worry about them spawning off.
Yeah, what are you talking about? They've been spawning with human women. Look around Beaufort. There's going to be a lot of pregnant Beaufort women around there who are gestating right now with
Yeah,
monkeys in them.
they were out assimilating.
Yeah, they were assimilating, all right. Jesus Christ. So watch out for these things. I want more reports on this weekly, you guys.
Okay.
Right now. When the first one appears. All right. All right, Mike, who's the Viocon Dios this week?
Oh, here. I've got to read these because they're important. The first, Harold Katz, passed at 87.
Who the hell's that?
Harold was the founder of Nutrisystem and the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. So who's next here? I'm sorry, I was coughing through that next one. Who was that?
Calvin Jones, 54. He was former Oakland Raiders. Remember Calvin Jones? Hell of a player. Anyway, he died of carbon monoxide poisoning in his basement.
Oh, gee, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah. He had a generator going in the basement because it was too damn cold. And then,
Oh, dear.
and I'm not sure if we mentioned this before, but our friend Linda Lavin, the actress,
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember her.
Alice.
Alice, yeah, she died of brain cancer.
All right, here's the trivia question. What was the spin-off series from Alice?
Oof.
Oh,
Mel? No, just kidding.
Close.
That's-
Flo.
Oh,
Oh, you
Yeah.
fools.
That's why you're here.
That's right. The brains of this operation.
Into this operation.
All right. So we're at our time of the show when we turn our loving eyes towards the south, towards Florida, see what those gentlemen down there have been up to. This is the first video here is the fine law enforcement people down there. They're crack, astute, never, always with their eye on the ball. Here
ready
they're
for any
escorting.
emergency.
Here they're escorting a prisoner to incarceration, and let's just watch what happens.
Now she wanna leave me alone, so I gotta start treating her right.
I gotta make a U-turn. I gotta turn around, y'all. Cause I was going.
And there he goes.
Be in the next Olympics. Yeah, there he goes.
It kills me. They were just walking along with him, talking, chatting, and he's not even have his shirt on. All of a sudden, he bolts. Oh my God! I don't know when this video was taken. He's probably still running
Yeah, probably.
all the way out to Vegas by now.
Right
With
through-
those
right
fat
through the
cops
wa-
gave
right-
up then.
Right through the Waffle House.
I love the mindset of the criminal, though. I mean, obviously he can run faster than most of them,
Yeah.
but he can't outrun a radio. So I'm just curious where he thought he was going to get to. It's like,
I have to
come
follow up on
dude.
that story. See
Come on, man.
how far he got. Probably didn't get very far. You're right.
Yeah.
No.
All right, and our last story is a gentleman down in Florida also who showing great civic responsibility, decides to step in when there's no cop to direct traffic.
This is what's happening in Sarasota, Florida right now. One of the major intersections has no power. So a random citizen is in the middle of the intersection directing traffic. He's even got a stick. This is Stinkney Point Road and 41 in Sarasota, and a random guy is directing traffic.
I don't know whether to be pissed at him or say, you know what?
No, attaboy. That's a good attaboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it. He went out there and tried to do something. Who knows how hammered he was to get out there in a storm and do it, but
Well, yeah, he was on meth, but he
It
did.
should be part of our news segment. Thank you, citizen. Yeah.
thank you, citizen. Well, if you get to see videos like that, send them to me. We'll do thank you.
I like the thank you, citizen. Yeah.
All right, guys, everybody, thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike and Paul will come to your house and they'll slow dance in your front yard. They might even teach you how to dance.
shag.
Do the
Do the
shag.
shag.
Shag. I'm showing that video right now again of those two cutting the rug.
That's the state dance of the Carolinas.
It is.
It is.
Send us an email. We need pictures. We want to see pictures. We want to have story ideas. And we pay by the pound, so send a lot.
Yeah.
And that's to oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. Anything you send, we put on the air, and we thank you publicly.
Yes.
And if you don't like looking at Mike's ruddy face, which is hard to look at, we have to put a special camera in there for this tape this thing. Oh my God. You can check us out on Apple or Spotify, where we're, or at least our faces aren't there.
We're perfect for the car ride. Yeah.
And check out our Substack at 52task.substack.com. There's plenty there for you to learn. So thank you, everybody. I hope we taught you something today. We'll see you next week. Mike, Paul, take care. Adios. amigos.
Adios. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was good. Okay. Guys, get the hell out of here.
Jeff, what happened to the mug shots? Those were priceless.
Oh, shoot. I forgot to do that. We're going to do it next week then.
Okay.
Yep. Throw them back in there.